The 70-year-old man was tired of living on a monthly pension of a few tens of thousands of dollars. He decided to go to an e-commerce company where the average age of the employees is not more than 30 years old. Because the job advertisement said they accept senior interns over 65 years old, John applied on a whim, and his female boss is not even close to the age of his children. But she's a very critical woman. Who would have thought that with a 40-year age difference? But they became the most important people in each other's lives. John's wife died 3.5 years ago, and his children had all started their own families. John initially enjoyed his retirement. He spent a few years traveling the world. He'd come home to an overwhelming sense of emptiness, as if he could see the end of his life. Until the day John saw a company looking for a geriatric intern, and it gave him all the ambition he had when he was young. But his friends thought he was joking, because this company is full of young people. They use online social networking programs to communicate. They even send out resumes on YouTube. And John was still stuck in the age of old phones. He didn't know anything about the new media. His friends told him to retire in peace, but he's made up his mind. He even bought a camera out of his own pocket to show off his Chinese to the camera, and that increased John's chances of success. He was also the vice president of a printing company. Rich experience in marketing management made him stand out from the crowd of candidates. In order to make a good impression on his boss, John purposely set 2 alarm clocks. He picked the most exquisite tie from a cabinet of ties, and carefully dressed and styled. He arrived at the office only to realize the environment was very different from what he had imagined. No one here wore formal attire. There's not even a fixed workstation. The young people's office equipment is all smart. John pulls out a calculator and glasses from his vintage purse. His elderly cell phone amazes his co-workers. John followed suit and turned on his computer, but he doesn't know where to turn it on. But it was only when his colleague reminded him. That's when the embarrassment was solved. But he knew nothing about e-commerce and became the founder's intern. His co-workers were worried about him, because Annie was a woman of action. She grew a small team of 25 to 220 in just a year and a half. She does everything for the company herself. Sometimes he even guest customer service to find out customers' feedback on their own clothes. In order to save time, she rides her bike through the company. John got an email from Annie's assistant, asked for a meeting with his boss at 4 o'clock. He asked the assistant if there were any minefields that Annie couldn't violate. The assistant was very patient and explained everything to John. John walked into the office cautiously. Annie said it was the marketing department's idea to hire the senior interns, just for the sake of good corporate image. She suggested that John be transferred to a department with less work, so that the old man wouldn't suffer working under her. But John politely declined. He wasn't here for the money. He wanted to be around Annie and learn new things. John said it with a wink. Annie was surprised. John had made a good first impression on her, but she didn't give John any work. She just told him to go back and wait for her mail. John politely asked if he needed to close the door, but when John tried to close the door, Annie told him to open the door. But for days on end, Annie didn't assign him any work. John did nothing but read the paper and the news and ask his co-workers for business advice. Even though there was no place for him to show his skills, his enthusiasm was undiminished. He even offered to help with deliveries. His affinity for the business rubbed off on his co-workers. They soon became good friends with John, and Annie noticed the old man. That day John finally waited for his first mail. The female assistant needed